Democrat Marcy Winograd. 2 questions.
Sure, I'll take 4 and 5.
4 and 5. Number 4.
Okay, 4 and 5, yes.
Yep, all right. Number 4 is, please describe what steps you will take to address the Santa Monica Airport's negative impacts on the West Los Angeles neighborhoods. And number 5 is the question about resolving the controversial issue of illegal immigration.
In terms of the Santa Monica Airport and the toxic emissions that are spewing downwind and literally poisoning our air and rocking houses, you know, the noise, I think it's really important that we have a representative who represents our wishes and who makes a very clear case for reimposing a jet ban at Santa Monica Airport. I mean, at least that should be the demand that's on the table. Up to date, I don't know that it has ever been on the table in Washington. I would do everything in my power to reimpose that jet ban, and I have started during this campaign in issuing a pledge asking celebrities who fly in and out, as well as the governor, with great frequency to sign the pledge. They didn't sign it. However, all of the assembly candidates did, as did Ted Lieu, and my opponent, Jane Harman, has also agreed to abide by the pledge. So that's a good start. We also met, Marty Rubin and I and several others met, and we decided we would ask the city of Santa Monica to stop advertising these jet companies on their website. And so they did. We asked, and they took them down. I think perhaps there are other avenues we could take if the FAA, if those in Washington are not willing to respect the health and welfare of the people of Mar Vista and West Los Angeles. We should look at taxing these jet companies as a great disincentive. You know, it's just not right, it's not fair. In terms of question number 5, should I read that?
Yeah.
Okay, 5 had to do with what can the federal government, I've got 30 seconds. All right, what can the federal government do to create jobs? I've outlined it here in this flyer. Basically, what we need to do is talk about and deal with the elephant in the room, which is the military budget, nearly $1 trillion. People will say we can't have this deficit spending, but they rarely talk about cutting the near $1 trillion military budget. Bring our troops home, close these corporate loopholes, impose a modest fee on stock trades, collect billions in tax havens, tax ExxonMobil for a change. We could raise $300 billion and put 8 million Americans who lost their jobs since the start of the recession back to work.
Representative Kesterson, I promise you won't be last.
I like being last, that's not a problem. It'll be the only time I'm going to be last, though. I'll be first on next Tuesday.
So your 2 questions, sorry.
I'm going to take the trifecta 5, 6, and 7, because I think 5 and 7 go together. So basically 5 and 6 if you want to read those. Okay.
Number 5, the best strategy or strategies to resolve the controversial issue of illegal immigration. Number 6 is, how can the state and federal government encourage business and job formation? Number 7 does relate to immigration, speaking about the Arizona law. So take them in 2 minutes.
Thanks, Brian, I appreciate it. Real quickly, immigration for me, you know, our founding fathers got together some 200 years ago to create a nation based on freedom. Never in the history of the world has anybody set forth to do that. In order to protect that freedom, we are a nation of laws. Yet we're the only sovereign nation on the planet that allows people willy-nilly to walk across the border, not tell us who they are, why they're here, what are they doing here, how long are they going to be here. So it's a national security issue as well as an economic issue. I get why people from all over the world want to come to America. It is the greatest place on earth. But you know what? It's reserved for American citizens. We cannot afford. California alone spends over $10 billion a year on illegal immigration. So the only way to stop this problem is to get rid of the incentives for people to come here. And I got to tell you, it's not a Mexican thing. I don't care if you're from France, Spain, Ireland, it doesn't really matter. When you come across the border illegally, you're a criminal. So we need to stop the incentives. We've got to stop the free education, free health care, in-state tuition. And businesses must lose their license for hiring illegal immigrants. We have 20+% unemployment and underemployment in California. And the argument is Americans won't do those jobs. I think that's phooey. Americans will do those jobs, and we need to start to protect Americans first. So, how do we grow jobs? What do? We need to get the federal government out of the way. There's an old adage that if it moves tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. And if it stops moving, subsidize it. That makes no sense. Every time we raise taxes, economic activity goes down. Ever since Calvin Coolidge and John F. Kennedy and Ronald Reagan, when we've lowered taxes, we've grown jobs and we've grown the revenue of the federal treasury at the same time. It's a win-win, and I do support the Arizona law.
All right, well, we have reached our closing statement portion of this forum, and it will be 1 minute for each candidate. Stay at your seats, and the first candidate will be Democrat Marcy Winograd.
Thank you very much again for coming tonight. I want to assure you that I'm here to represent you. Not big banks, not Wall Street, not war profiteers, not big pharma. I'm not taking a dime of corporate money. We've raised almost $400,000 from small donations, mostly $25. And I'm looking forward to representing you in Congress. I think it's really important that we have leadership, as someone else mentioned, with a spine, who's going to stand up for the people and put an end to this runaway greed on Wall Street. In order to do that, we need to be organized, and we need to be organized in Congress. I think my experience in the state Democratic Party organizing a progressive caucus and working with different clubs around town is testimony to my organizing ability. I want to make sure that everybody understands peace is a top priority for me, and so is education, and they go hand in hand. We have to connect the dots. We have to give our youth a better future and more opportunity, other than going to war in a far-off land that serves no purpose. So please, I urge you, get involved. WinogradForCongress.com. We're in Marina Del Rey, and we want you on board. Thank you.
Republican Pete Kesterson.
I'll turn to last. Thank you all so much for allowing me to address you tonight. Hopefully we'll get a chance to do that again. I've got a great feature on my website called Ask Pete, where you can ask a question. If there's something that concerns you, I'll answer it back publicly. We invite you to visit KestersonForCongress.com. But I got to tell you, in 46 seconds or less, we have to start over. I say we should be green and recycle Congress. And I think we do it the private sector way. So I'll take a couple seconds to pitch you on a company called Bloom Energy. Go to bloomenergy.com and look at a great way where private capital has created an opportunity to get green energy that we can afford. A little box this big will power your house for a year. It'll get us off the grid. It's a win-win for national security and being green. But you know what? It's not the most important thing. But one of the first things I will do when you elect me your congressman is go to Washington and pass legislation that gets rid of congressional pensions. It puts Congress people and their staffs back in Social Security, and make sure that every law they pass, they have to abide by themselves. Thank you very much.
Republican Andrew Sharp.
Thank you all for coming again. I really appreciate being able to speak with you, for you. I hope that we will be heard in Washington. If everyone continues to vote for establishment candidates, you're going to get the same policies. We have to wake up our nation, whether if you're in the right, the left, the center. We need to start attending meetings, talking to our friends, emailing people, get out the vote, whether it's on June 8th or November. Please, everyone come out and vote, support us. Please, if you will, support me. Take a look at my website. It's sharp4congress.com. Sharp4congress.com. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.